Before we dive into the truth behind the AI hype, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Stay informed about the trends shaping technology and finance, so you can make smarter decisions in this rapidly changing world. Imagine a world where space becomes too dangerous for satellites, astronauts, and even space tourists. A world where the very thing that propels us into the future, space exploration, could be blocked forever. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, it's not. This is the terrifying reality of Kessler Syndrome. Stay tuned to find out why space junk could soon destroy our ability to use space forever. Space exploration has always been one of humanity's most exciting frontiers, but there's a looming disaster that could wipe out everything we've worked so hard for: space junk. You've probably heard about it, but do you understand the true threat it poses? Enter Kessler Syndrome, a catastrophic chain reaction that could turn space into an inaccessible wasteland. In this video, we'll dive into the harsh reality of Kessler Syndrome and explore how our addiction to launching satellites is pushing us closer to disaster. So what exactly is Kessler Syndrome, and why should you care? First proposed by NASA scientist Donald Kessler in 1978, the theory suggests that if space becomes crowded with too many objects, debris from old satellites, rocket stages, and other remnants, the risk of collisions skyrockets. Each collision creates more debris, which then collides with more satellites and so on, creating a dangerous feedback loop. This could eventually make large areas of space too hazardous to use, essentially turning Earth's orbit into a massive junkyard. Here's where things get even scarier. The theory isn't just a problem for a few satellites here and there. If Kessler Syndrome becomes a reality, it could lead to an explosive chain reaction. One satellite crashes, creating thousands of smaller pieces of debris. These fragments then collide with other objects, creating even more debris. This cycle continues, exponentially increasing the amount of space junk in orbit, until we hit a point where launching anything into space becomes too risky. And it won't be just a few isolated incidents. This will be a worldwide disaster for our future in space. Now, let's think about the real consequences. Right now, we rely on space for nearly everything, from GPS and satellite communications to weather forecasting and national security. But what happens when space becomes too dangerous for any of that? We could lose access to entire networks of satellites, disrupting communication, navigation, and scientific research worldwide. The future of space exploration, space tourism, and satellite technology, all of it, could come to a halt if we don't act fast. As of today, there are over 34,000 pieces of space debris larger than 10 centimeters orbiting our planet, and millions of smaller fragments we can't even track. And that number is growing rapidly. Each year, more objects are launched into orbit, adding to the problem. The worst part? This debris is not going away anytime soon. Some pieces of space junk stay in orbit for decades, others for centuries. If we don't start cleaning it up now, space could soon become a giant minefield of floating debris. We've already seen what can happen when two objects collide in space. In 2009, a defunct Russian satellite collided with a commercial satellite, creating thousands of new fragments. This collision was a wake-up call, showing just how easily one crash could escalate the debris problem. Imagine a domino effect, where a few crashes turn into hundreds, then thousands of collisions, and suddenly we have a cloud of debris so thick we can't even safely send a single spacecraft into orbit. Think about the impact this could have on human spaceflight. Imagine trying to send a crewed mission to the Moon or Mars, but space is so cluttered with debris that it's too dangerous to launch anything. The same goes for space tourism. It could be years, even decades, before we can even think about launching a commercial space mission again. The vastness of space won't matter if it's full of wreckage. And even more terrifying? It could affect satellites we rely on every single day. GPS systems? Gone. Communication satellites? Gone. Weather monitoring systems? Gone. The global infrastructure that keeps our world connected could be destroyed by something we created. Here's the catch. Fixing the space junk problem is far from easy. Sure, there are some attempts to clean up debris. Some companies are developing robotic spacecraft to capture and remove old satellites, and space agencies are designing satellites to deorbit safely at the end of their lifespans. But right now, those efforts are a drop in the ocean compared to the scale of the problem. And the more satellites we launch, the more debris we create, putting us in a race against time. Unless we act quickly, we could hit a point where space is completely off limits for future generations. Despite all of this, there's still hope, but only if we take drastic action now. We need to push for international cooperation to limit satellite launches, track debris more effectively, and create better protocols for deorbiting old satellites. But that's not enough. We need to start removing the debris that's already up there. If we don't take immediate action, we're heading toward a future where space is so dangerous that we'll have no choice but to abandon it entirely. The worst part? We're not just facing a problem for today or tomorrow. The debris we're creating will be around for centuries, even millennia. The technology that could clean up this mess might be too little, too late. And by then, it might be impossible to fix. Space could become a completely locked down environment, a ghost town of junk, with no way in or out. Imagine our children growing up knowing that humanity's greatest achievements in space were crushed by our own reckless actions. Kessler Syndrome isn't just a hypothetical scenario, it's a real and imminent danger. And if we don't take immediate action, the space we've spent so much time and effort exploring could become a dangerous, unusable wasteland. The window of opportunity is closing fast, and every launch we make adds more debris to the problem. The countdown has begun, and we're running out of time. This is the ultimate warning. If we don't act now, the future of space exploration could be over before it even truly begins. If you think space exploration is too important to lose, hit that subscribe button and join the conversation. The time to act is now. Share this video with everyone you know and let's demand action before it's too late.